So we're going to be doing multiplying binomials. So I just want to define the word binomials for you. A binomial is any expression that has two terms. So for example, 2x plus 3. This would be a binomial because it has two terms. Or negative 5x plus x squared. This would be a binomial because it also has two terms. Two terms meaning you can't put them together. So not like 5 plus 3, because that would be one term, because you could combine 5 and 3. We're going to be using box method to multiply these two binomials. You might have used box method when you did multiplication in elementary school, especially once you did 2-digit by 2-digit, so like 24 times 22. You might have done box method. It's the same idea. We're going to be using the concept of area of a small box. When you find the area of a box or a rectangle, you would do length times width. So that's the same concept. You're going to find the area of each box, and then we're going to be putting those together. So first, let's find the area of this. So let's start in this upper left-hand corner. Well, what's attached to it is an x and an x. So we're going to be multiplying x times x. When you were in junior high, you guys did exponents. And when you had the exponent of square, you had to break down what that meant. So if you had 5 squared, for example, that would mean 5 times 5. If you had 2 squared, that would be 2 times 2. Well, if you have x squared, that can be broken up as x times x. We're just going the other direction with it. So now I have x times x. I write it as x squared. And then I have 2 times x. I'm going to write it as 2x. And then this box, above it is the 4, to the left of it is the x. So we're going to do 4 times x, 4x, and then 4 times 2, 8. Now there are things that look alike inside this box. So normally you might write this just all listed together, x squared plus 4x plus 2x plus 8. But we do have two terms that are alike here, our 4x and 2x. So if you notice, they're catty corner from each other. You can put those together because they're just alike. So you could write it as x squared plus 6x plus 8. So once again, we found the area of each box, and then we just put it together. That's how you multiply a binomial. So we're going to be looking for some of those patterns in here as this gets more challenging with each step. And then as we go, I'm going to ask you to pause the video every now and again, so that way you can try things on your own. Make sure you're doing that. Pause the video, try it on your own. You learn best when you make mistakes. You just got to let yourself make those mistakes. So starting here, we've got x times x. So again, that's x squared. X times 3. You could also think of it as 3 times 1 with an x. So 3x. I'm going to go this way. 3 times 5, 15. And then 1x times 5, or 5 times 1, 5x. So remember up here we had like terms that were catty corner. If you notice, we have that again. So we've got this 3x and this 5x that look alike. We can just add those together. We don't have to put 4 different terms here. So we have x squared, 5 plus 3 is 8, and then 15. The challenge is switching your brain from multiplying to get the area and then adding to put it all together. Because a lot of times your brain will stay in multiplication mode and you'll put 15 on accident. So you just have to remember, first you're doing area, so you're adding, and then you're multiplying, and then you're putting it together, so you're adding. So let's do it again. We're going to start by finding area. So we're going to be multiplying. So 1 and 1 make 1, x times x makes x squared. It's just another way of writing it. You don't have to write it with the 1, it's up to you. 4 times 1 is 4 with an x. Just another way to think of it. And then be careful because this minus sign belongs to that 3. So 1 times negative 3 with an x. And then 4 times negative 3, negative 12. So before we list it, let's see if there's anything we can put together. And once again, we got some catty corner identical terms there. So 1x squared is going to go first. And then put together your 4x and negative 3x. So 4 plus negative 3, or 4 minus 3, whatever you want to think of it as. Positive 1 with an x. It's not x squared because we're not multiplying. We're just putting all of these x's together to let everybody know how many we have. And then we have negative 12. So you always want to put these in order, starting from largest exponent to smallest exponent. So that's why we're putting the square first. This one, you can't say it doesn't have an exponent because it does. We just don't usually write it to the first power, but it does. And then this is a constant, and constants always go at the end. So that's the way you write your answer. So this is where you're going to be pausing and trying and then checking. So you're going to be doing box method again. To know how many lines to put in, you check to see how many terms there are. So for the first one, there's 2. So you're going to need 2 sections. One for the x, one for the positive 6. And then for the second term or section, you're going to have 2 terms as well. So you're going to have 2 sections, one for the x, one for the 7. All right, hit pause. Go ahead and multiply that out and then write your answer out as well. So we've got x times x, x squared, 6 times x, 6x, 7 times x, 7x, 7 times 6, 42. Take a minute to fix anything that you may need to fix. And before writing it all out, we're going to check to see if there's anything we can put together. I see we've got an x here, we've got an x here. So let's go ahead and begin. Your largest exponent is the square. And then you have 6x and 7x, that makes 13x. And then you have 42. So the product of x plus 6 times x plus 7 is x squared plus 13x plus 42. Product just means the answer to a multiplication problem. All right, go ahead and hit pause, and I want you to lay out this one and then also do the multiplication. So hit pause and then come back and check. All right, so we've got a binomial, x and 2, times a binomial, x and negative 5. So make sure you didn't forget that negative on that 5. It's got to go with it. We've got x times x, x squared, 2 times x, 2x. I'm going to go this box next. 2 times negative 5, negative 10, and negative 5 times x, negative 5x. And we do have matching terms here. So now we're combining. So we're not multiplying anymore. We're adding because we're putting them together. So we've got x squared, and then a 2 and a negative 5. That makes a negative 3. And then a negative 10. Remember that this doesn't become squared because we didn't multiply it. We just took 2 x's and negative 5 x's and put them together. C is a little bit different, but I do challenge you. I want you to hit pause and go ahead and see if you can't multiply out C. If you get stuck, that's okay. Just hit play. But try to go all the way through. Go ahead and hit pause. All right, so for our first one, we have 3x and 1. And then for our second one, we have x and negative 3. So if you had a hard time setting it up and you weren't able to multiply it out because you got stuck there, go ahead and set it up and hit pause and start multiplying. So we have 3 times 1. I always do the numbers first. It just makes it a little easier. 3 times 1 is 3. X times x is x squared. Still 3x is a term, 1x is a term, but you put it together piece by piece. It makes it a little bit easier. 1 times 1 is 1 with an x, and you don't have to put the 1. 3 times -3 is -9 with an x, and then -3 times 1 is -3. We've got a match right here. So our first term is 3x squared. Our second term, you would have to combine your 1 and -9, which makes a -8x, and then -3. So now that you've multiplied your binomials, I want you to take these notes and go into your practice.